Not everything it takes to build a garden actually looks like gardening. Welcome to the Driveway Garden. This week, I'm wrestling with concrete blocks, rethinking part of the retaining wall, and turning another used bucket into a planter, all to squeeze more growing space out of this driveway. Because the real goal isn't just to grow a mountain of zucchini once in a while, it's to figure out whether this little garden can produce a steady variety of food and flowers for my family, and maybe, just maybe, eventually enough to share. So come along and let's garden. One project that is critical to my ability to maximize what we can grow on this driveway garden is this retaining wall. And what I realized is that I went too high on the section on the right there, where I've got the pots. That is the maximum height that it should be there, and so I'm going to be pulling. I need to basically redo that. So I need to pull those blocks off on the right. Meanwhile, I need to over here on the left-hand side where this is going under the deck and then joining up with a concrete wall divider that divides this whole thing from kind of the subterranean garage and where my office is beyond that door. I need to put some blocks in there so that I can backfill that with some gravel and some more dirt there. And I need to do that as my next step, essentially, because I've got a bunch of dirt beyond those pots and up there that still needs to be excavated. And so I don't know how much of it I'll need to haul off site and how much of it can just be put back here backfill this retaining wall. So I need to finish kind of the retaining wall off on this side, which the other thing there, the challenge is, let me come around here and show you or tell you. The other challenge that I have with this is that I have to break. So this piece right here, I had to break from a full block. And there's more professional ways to do it, but I've settled on using a hammer and chisel to do that. And it's surprisingly very difficult. I mean, you can get an initial break without too much effort, but then actually carving off some discrete pieces that will cause you to fit exactly in what you're trying to get there is a challenge for me. So I've done it once. I looked at I don't have an angle grinder in my tool portfolio yet, so I've looked at maybe getting one of those. But before I drop a lot of money on an angle grinder and a diamond blade and all that sort of thing in order to literally try to cut the concrete blocks, I just got a better set of chisels and a short but heavier hammer. And I'm gonna continue going at it that way because I don't have that many to do. You know, I'll have 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 or 5 at the most. So if I can get away with not having to buy a lot of equipment just to get 5 blocks kind of size the way I want them, that will be better. So, but for now, I'm gonna go over there, grab a block and bring it back over here. I'm debating here whether to basically stop there because it's flush with the wall there, so to speak, and then kind of step it up from there, or whether I should just keep it going and basically have a ledge that comes all the way up there like that. 100% sure, but I guess I don't have to decide that immediately. I can just go get another block for now. Gonna get rid of these. They're super scraggly and done with. Okay, well, I have at least one more block to split, so you're gonna see my silliness and see how this might be working or not. Do another quick measure, make sure I understand what I'm doing. Yeah. So I've estimated that I need about 7.75 inches, but I'm not going to get an exact amount because I'm using chisels to just split it apart. So we'll see how that goes. I've got some earplugs, which I learned are helpful in doing this because it is quite loud. I think I'm going to end up dulling these chisels quite quickly. Let me try the older one for kind of this brunt work. I was using these masonry chisels, trying to get it. I just couldn't get through it. I was getting frustrated, and I started using this gardening tool. I use this as a dig bar for loosening hard clay down into the dirt when I have to. Not something that comes up a lot around here, but in other projects that I've had is why I have this bar and just the size of it, the weight, and just the leverage of kind of just up and down. I was getting more power on it than I was getting with a hammer and a chisel like that. I mean, it's not a perfectly straight edge, but it more or less fits, and is a lot more cost effective than getting a saw and trying to create a perfect edge with it. So I think I'm gonna go with it and see where that leads here. But this has worn me out. So I think this is as far as we're gonna go in this week's chapter on what's happening with the retaining wall. Yeah, thanks. Just a reminder that while this doesn't look like gardening, this is an infrastructure project that is designed to really create a lot more gardening space. And so just finishing this up so that I have more gardening space that I can grow more on this driveway garden is what this quest is all about. I will see you all.
Rain on leaves, small and clean, falling slow on the green. Late afternoon, go through glass, you and me, let it pass. I watch it soak in, I watch it stay, little by little, day by day. Grow, 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 soft and slow. Grow, 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 where the water goes. I keep my hands there, I keep them kind, something living on my mind. Soft and slow, new buds rise near the wall, tiny waves in the fall. You pull the weed, I hold the pot. Nothing loud, just what we've got. Sun on the stems now, warm and low. What you tend will always know. Grow, 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 soft and slow. Grow, 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 soft and slow. Grow, 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 where the water goes. I keep my hands there, I keep them kind. Something living on my mind. Grow, grow, grow through the light. What we tended feels so right.
Here at the bucket workshop today, got one bucket here to process. All right, got one label to peel off here. Gonna be using the heat gun to try to make it a little bit easier. I found that if I heat up the bowl and inherently the adhesive underneath, it's easier to peel this off. Still not perfect. Sometimes I peel it off and I still end up with the sticky residue or the backside of it stuck to it, and I have to just hope that it comes off when I scrub it with an alcohol, with a sponge and some rubbing alcohol, or maybe it comes off when I'm sanding, as you'll see in my later steps here. Some of the prep that I do to stick there. So I'm gonna see if heating it more helps where it's starting to stick, but prior experience tells me it doesn't necessarily. It just gets really stuck on there, and there doesn't really seem to be a lot I can do about that. I just have to deal with it later. Whoops. Yeah. See, I got this. I'll try a little bit with my fingernail and gun, but then I'll see if I can get it off otherwise. Got it, actually. I mean, it feels a little bit sticky there, but I got the paper portion of it mostly. I think you've seen me do this before with these buckets, and you may ask, how does this actually work towards my goals? Well, I'd say it's probably a minor, minor step in towards my goals of being able to grow enough on this garden to provide how much in produce food I can provide my family from this driveway garden, and then from there, if I can provide more than my family will eat, then the rest of the community, friends and family and other, I might be able to donate. As you might remember, that's my overall goal. So how does this really help? In a very minor way, right? You may have seen around the garden, I do plant a lot of peppers in the bucket, so maybe that's not minor, but because this garden is mainly made up of containers, having a fun, cost-effective way to create containers is part of the deal. But I'll have to admit that a lot of it is really just for fun. I'd say the primary purpose is just creative outlet more than it is absolute functionality of having an extra container to achieve that overarching goal that we're working on here. I will say, just as a I'm off track here of talking about painting these buckets, but in terms of what's going on this summer and, am I producing enough to put on my family's table? I think a lot of you as gardeners probably face this issue where it produces enough to put on it produces more than I can put on my family's table at times, right? I'll get a glut of something like as many of you do. I'll get a glut of zucchini, more zucchini than my family can eat, so I have to give away a bunch of that. So I'm not at a point where I'm producing a steady, consistent amount of variety of vegetables that will fill my family's dinner table every day. I'm overwhelmed with certain things, and I think that's kind of, I've gone through this before when I had the larger garden. You kind of do that, and then you get out and you start figuring out your cycles and what to grow where and at what times in order to try to even it out so that you've got less of the gluts of certain things and more kind of variety of produce throughout for the season as you can. That would be the overall goal that we're working toward. And not just produce. I think I talk a lot about veggies because I think that's where my head always starts, but as you've seen in this garden, I grow a lot of flowers too. So if we can grow enough flowers to not only keep this garden beautiful, but also have some flowers that we can put on the table for ourselves, some cut flowers that we could then maybe give away to beautify other people's tables, that would be an awesome result as well. So I think it's all part of the overall plan where I hope to be going with all of this. So now we've got that off. The next step is do sometimes I do a little bit of extra washing because sometimes it feels like the outside or inside feels particularly oily or ice creamy, but it feels pretty good. The sanding's next. Okay, sanding. So I've used a battery operated sander for, I think it scuffs it up too much. It does a little, it's too intense for what I'm trying to achieve here for the most part. So I'm just using a hand sander, and I got a packet of these pretty cheaply from Amazon, 220 little sanding blocks. And yeah, I mean, all I'm doing is scuffing up the edges here. I pay particular attention to the rim because this is where paint tends to chip and wear off. So this is where I'm more like trying to really get it prepped better. It's the rim, and then it's the bottom edge, which I'll sand next here. So you can see it's not super hard. I'm not doing too much with it. Just taking a little bit of the gloss and sheen off there. And then this bottom edge, this is where there tends to be more chipping and wearing off of the paint, I've noticed. Okay, and then once I've put special attention to those, then I just kind of give the whole thing a little bit of a sand. This is where the label was, so the sanding doesn't really, because I'm not sanding that hard, it's not taking that much of it off. I think we'll see more of it come off when I scrub this down with some rubbing alcohol. Okay, that's much it in terms of what I do on that. And then the next step, I have a sponge here that I put some basic rubbing alcohol on. I've also used some acetone in the past, but I think I actually like the rubbing alcohol for this step better. Quite a bit of it going there. And now what I'm trying to do with this is just kind of remove some of the residual oils and particles or whatever that might make adhesion more challenging. The one thing you'll note though is, I mean, I'm not being precise with this. At some point I can't spend an enormous amount of time doing all this because that would defeat the purpose of making these kind of easy, low cost planters. If I put too many hours into it, I'm just replacing the dollars that I would spend on a planter with unreasonable amounts of costly time. Although I did just say a minute ago that I do this kind of for fun anyway. So when you're doing something for fun, the efficiency of the time you spend is not always the most important factor, but a detailed scrub of the bucket is not something I consider particularly fun. So I don't do too much of a detailed scrub, but it is effective at getting off this residual here, the sticky residual. So go ahead and do that, why not? Okay. So that's that. And now the next step will be spraying the primer. So I use a primer that says it's designed for plastics, and I mean, this is not just any plastic though, so it's hard to tell if that primer really is meaningful to have using this special primer in that way, but it's better than nothing, I guess. Well, I guess I don't know that for sure, but I operate on the faith that it's better than nothing. Okay, so I'm gonna put this here, and now I'm gonna go grab my my primer, and we'll do that. All right, I did 2 coats. I didn't share doing the second coat because it was kind of the same thing on this bucket that I had started a day ago or 2 days ago. And now I'm going to put a cheap coat of black on it. So I do a cheap coat of either black or white in order to cover up the holes in the branding and all that, and give it an extra coat of paint. And then after that is when I start putting kind of what I want to have as the color on it, which I'm still thinking about. So this stuff lets off a lot of fumes as well, so I'm gonna throw a mask on for this one, and then I'm gonna spray that. Well, a couple days ago, or a day ago, I'm losing track of time here, I put on the first coat of just a cheap black spray paint. And it can be hard to see in this light, but if I get the light to shine through it this way, which in practice doesn't happen because there's dirt in here and plants and stuff, but just for thoroughness, you can still kind of see the labeling here and here. So what I'm gonna do is apply a second coat of this cheap black spray paint, but just over where the lettering areas are. So here and here, I'm just cheap. I don't need it in the other areas. So I'm gonna do that next. And then later today, maybe we'll get on to other steps here.
I showed up with my gloves on at the edge of this old red clay. Sun came up on a busted slope and I got to work today. I cut my own line straight and true with a shovel and a prayer. Just me and the hill for company and the quiet hanging there. Every rock I turn feels like a mile, but I can see it now in my mind's eye. Stone by stone, I set this wall. Stone by stone, I won't let it fall. For the beans, the corn, and the fenced-in yard. Stone by stone, I build my part. Stone by stone, stone by stone. got sore by noontime, back bent low in the heat. Dust on my boots, mud on my jeans, and blisters on my feet. A neighbor drove by with a wave, said that looks like a heap. I just tipped my hat and kept on digging, 'cause I got more to keep. Every load I throw makes the ground obey. Every tide breath paves another day. Stone by stone I set this wall. Stone by stone I won't let it fall. For the beans, the corn, and the fenced-in yard, stone by stone I build my part. Stone by stone, stone by stone. I ain't rich, but I got these arms and a roof for the ones I love. I can hear my kids in the garden rows and my wife with a basket of love. One day they'll pick from the vines I plant under the peach tree shade, and they'll know every inch of this hard ground was a promise I made. Stone by stone